Two judges on Britain's High Court said Tuesday they had decided to defer judgment on whether the Wikileaks founder can appeal against his extradition to the United States. They said the US must first guarantee that Assange, who is Australian, is afforded the same First Amendment protections as a United States citizen and that the death penalty is not imposed. If those guarantees aren't forthcoming in the next 3 weeks, the judges said they would allow an appeal to go ahead. Assange's supporters urged the US to drop the case.
My impression is that the court is tying itself in knots to find basically passing the buck to the US government. And inviting it to contradict its own case in order to wave through his extradition.
We've got provisional permission to appeal on 3 grounds. On the fact that he would not be permitted to rely on the First Amendment, the risk that he'd be exposed to the death penalty, and the risk that he'll be discriminated against on the grounds that he's Australian. The court has called for what they want, satisfactory assurances to protect him against that. We say there's no such satisfactory assurance.
Julian Assange has spent the past 5 years in Britain's maximum security Belmarsh prison. He faces 18 US federal charges relating to allegations of hacking and theft of classified material. In 2010, Wikileaks published a trove of stolen diplomatic cables from the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, which Assange said exposed abuses by the United States military. US government lawyers say the material was stolen and Assange's actions put the lives of informants at risk. Assange's supporters say he was doing his job as a journalist, exposing information in the public interest, and say the charges are politically motivated.
The Espionage Act itself lacks a public interest defense, which means that Julian Assange cannot get a fair trial because he cannot defend the basis of his actions as being in the public interest. And we do believe that the publication of these materials was in the public interest. It informed journalism around the world that exposed war crimes and human rights violations, crimes that themselves have never been prosecuted.
The judges said a hearing would be held on May 20th if the court receives the requested guarantees from the United States. The US Department of Justice did not comment on the judge's ruling. Henry Ridgewell, VOA News, London.